Hey guys, welcome back. My name's Frankie. I am an adventure photographer based here in BV, Colorado. I'm going to walk you through everything I take with me for a 3-day, 2-night backpacking trip in Colorado's backcountry. We are running our last guided trip of the season, which is a guided 14er summit and also astrophotography workshop. So I'm going to show you the camera kit that I'm taking with me at the end, as well as all my other gear that I have laid out in front of me. So just want to start with my backpack and a couple small items sitting on top of my pack. So this is the Atmos by Osprey. This is the 65-liter pack. A great backpack, has their anti-gravity suspension system in it. One of my gripes with this pack is that it squeaks sometimes once you have it fully loaded down, and I will have it fully loaded down, as you can see with all the different gear out here. So this is the Atmos 65-liter. I also have a pack cover in there. I've emptied it out, so I have all the gear down here so I can show you guys each and every piece I bring with me. Two small items that I'm going to put on the side of my pack. This Sea to Summit little collapsible mug. You could also use it as a bowl if you were making like a ramen or something out there. And this collapsible spoon that weighs basically nothing. That goes right on the side of my pack. I'm gonna move the backpack out of the way that I'm bringing with. This is by no means a ultralight setup. I'm just trying to educate you on what it takes and what gear you need to bring with you. Being a guide, and we have, I think, 5 or 6 clients that we're taking out with us, so there is a little bit of additional stuff here that I would bring that is not just for myself. So getting right into it, as I said before, not an ultralight setup. I'm rocking the Trail Break. This is an REI sleeping bag rated for 30 degrees, borrowing my wife's insulated Nemo Tensor air pad. Super comfortable. Both of those items will go in the dry bag here. On the side over to this side, I have a Patagonia rain shell and a Montbell puffy. I have bug spray in this little doggy bag here so it doesn't leak into the rest of my pack. Sometimes clients request bug spray when we're out there. This is an all-natural bug spray. And then another important part of being a guide or anyone that goes into the backcountry, I have my Spot GPS unit, very accessible when we go out there. This will be kind of almost on the outside of my pack. So the added weight for guides is usually with like med kits. This is from our local store called the Trailhead. This is Adventure Medical Kits. So this is about a 4-day kit, and the group size here, this is going to be good for about 2 to 4 people. The other guide I'm going out with will also have a med kit as well. This is my pocket mask. This is a syringe to clean out wounds, a random Lactaid pack. Down here, I also have Motrin, some cough drops. I have some Tylenol, all in just like a little medicine baggie, so I'll keep all that together. So this is kind of my suite for my wilderness first responding stuff. I have the Wilderness First Responder Guide on my phone, and I also bring a kind of dumbed down paper version that I have, as well as my notebooks and notes for my Wilderness First Responder course. So this is where some additional weight comes in. If you are a guide, keep that in mind. You will have to bring similar tools with you to make sure that you can stay safe yourself and the rest of your party stays safe. Onto my tent. This is the Nemo Dragonfly 1P, super lightweight. Love this tent. It will probably go on the bottom of my pack. Sometimes when I don't have a lot of gear in there, I can put it on the inside, but for this particular client trip, I know I'm going to have some excess food and additional things I'll have to carry, probably 2 cans of propane for our meals, but this will go on the bottom of my pack. I don't like their footprint. They don't really have a good footprint for that, so I'm bringing a different tent's footprint to go underneath because it might rain for this trip. I have a Ursack here for some additional, call them toiletry products that might smell, so we'll put those in here. I have a bear bag. The only thing you're not going to see here are my clothing and my food items. I'm still preparing some of those inside, so you're not going to see all of that stuff, but in general, this is what I take with me when I'm guiding groups. I have a can of bear spray. We're in Colorado's backcountry. The odds of seeing a bear are pretty slim, but you never know. We have 2 of these per group. We like to have this for any kind of animal encounter. We don't carry firearms with us on our guided tours, so this is our defense mechanism. Always check the safety and always check the expiration date on these. They do expire, so I do have my bear spray with us. I showed you the spot device. Hiking poles. These are by Peria. Love these. They're a tri-fold carbon fiber with like a cork handle. I love using poles when I'm going on heavier backpacking missions. This is a little bug net in case I need to cover my head and it gets mosquito-y out there. All right, over here I have lots of hand warmers and core warmers. It will get kind of chilly. We're sleeping up at 11,000 feet for this particular trip. So I'm bringing these for clients in case they get chilly. We're also doing nighttime astrophotography workshop. If someone gets cold or expresses that they have cold hands, I will hand off some hand warmers or give those to people before they go to sleep. Bunch of electrolytes for the group, random doggy bag, or for garbage, I'll also bring an additional plastic grocery bag, some random accessories here, lighter, pocket knife, matches, just in case my stove doesn't light. I have either option there. I also carry inside my stove a neat little carabiner called a fire beaner, which sparks nicely for you. Highly recommend keeping one of those in with your stove just in case the clicker doesn't light your propane. I have 2 cans of the fuel pulled out. This is propane by JetBoil to operate the JetBoil stove. So we will each have 2 different stoves boiling water for our clients so we can speed up our cooking time. I have some bug spray wipes, some things for going to the bathroom. I will put all my toiletries in this bag here. I don't have those out at the moment. Walkie-talkies, super essential for guides to have. These are a great tool just so we can communicate if the group splits up or we're hiking at different paces. This is how we stay in touch with each other. I have a beanie, gloves, a buff. Sometimes I bring double of these items so I can hand those out to my clients. Got my hiking boots here, Las Sportivas, super minimal. This is definitely a luxury item. That's why I said not an ultralight kit, but I have my Earth Runners, super minimal sandals. I think on trips like this, sometimes you just need a break from your hiking boots, so I will bring my Earth Runner sandals. These are super cool, check them out. And those kind of go on the outside of my pack. I have 4 different Sawyer bags here, 4 different Sawyer bags. We don't have great access to water at our particular backcountry campsites, so we will have the group each fill these and kind of help us carry some water back to camp. So 4 different Sawyer bags. I'll be bringing 2 of the Katadyn Be-Free water filtration systems. Same reason why I'm bringing 2 of these is so we can filter water faster and we have lots of access to being able to filter water. Super imperative that you filter water here in Colorado. You can think that every stream is clean. You don't know what is up the river line from you, and you also don't want to get Giardia. It's terrible. I've bumped into a few people that have had it. Terrible illness. I don't recommend messing with just drinking straight out of creeks and rivers here. Highly recommend getting yourself one of these Be-Free Katadyn filters. I have my Jetboil here. Probably gonna bring 2 fuels or whichever one feels more full to me. Should be plenty for our 2 nights out there. I have a tripod laid out here. This is not the one I'm gonna use for the trip. I'm gonna use the one that the video camera is on. That is a ProMaster XCM carbon fiber. You could also use something like this Peak Design. This is way heavier than my XCM over there, so I'm going to bring a lighter weight one because of how much weight I will have in my pack. So moving on to my camera kit down here, I like to keep things very simple. So I'll have the Peak Design clip mounted on my backpack, on my strap, holding my Sony A7R4 clipped in, and I bring just 2 lenses on a trip like this. I bring my 55 Zeiss. Because we're shooting Astro on this trip, I have the 16-35 G Master 2.8 with a little filter on there for shooting during daytime. Probably remove that for the Astro section. Small little bag, camera accessories, batteries, a little blower, and a brush. And I bring this little Manfrotto case, so in case it rains or I need to tuck the camera away at night, and then put this in the dry bag over there. But for the majority of the hiking, my camera kit stays right right on my shoulder there. And that wraps it up. Like I said, the only thing I don't have out here would be my clothing and my food items. Didn't want to go into the nuances of those, but I can break it down for you. So I will be bringing hiking pants, thermal layers for nighttime, a few extra socks, extra boxers, a thermal top, a Melanzana hoodie. I have lots of layers, so I can layer with the puffy jacket down there, as well as my shell if it rains. I will also have 2 different t-shirts. Clothing is where I try to be very minimal and rewear things. You're gonna be dirty and just be out there anyways, so might as well just kind of rewear things and lower the weight on clothing if you can do that. So this was my entire backpacking kit as a guide. Feel free to drop me some comments below. I'm gonna quickly do a sped up version of how I would pack my bag. I put softer items in the bottom, like my sleeping bag, sleeping pad. Clip the tent onto the base. You want heavier items in the middle, so things like my stove and propane in the middle. Tripod will go on the side, big water bottle on the other side, and then I'll just start filling from there. Toiletries and other simple small items. Oh yeah, this little battery pack will go in the brain of my pack. I also bring a few of these little dry bags just to keep things dry at night and keep my electronics good from getting water damage and that kind of thing. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them below in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts on my setup here. By no means is this ultra light. I think I weighed my pack on our last group trip and it was just under 40 pounds. So if you have some tips or ways that I can lower the weight, that'd be greatly appreciated. We'll speed up the footage here on how I pack my bag, and then we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you out on the trail.
All right, just gonna take a few more moments here to walk you through how I pack my backpack and how I put things into the pack for most efficiency, as well as where you want the heavier items in your backpack. So I start by dropping in the sleeping bag and my liner, as well as any camp clothing, and I put this deep or inside the very bottom of my pack. I'm not going to touch those items until the evening. Next, I load the heavier items right against my back and hip belt, such as stove, additional food items, and I'll put some water, a large water bottle on the side of my pack so the pack stays stable, and that's where you want the heavier items in your bag. And then at the end, you'll see that I leave my camera gear kind of laid out on the ground. I'm gonna put these in the brain of my backpack, keeping them closer to the top so I can easily grab them. I mostly carry my camera on the Peak Designs clip. I then put in my layers and rain gear and some snacks, again, more in like the middle portion of my bag. Might not use those until the second day. And then that way my raincoat is pretty accessible from the top and the brain of the pack, so keeping the rain jacket almost at the very top. Then I'm loading a bunch of snacks as well as first aid kit. I put my earth runners here on the outside of my pack. Now I'm loading up my first aid bag that's gonna go in to the brain of my pack. I like to have quick access to those items. Anytime you're bringing first aid with you, it should be in a really accessible spot, usually the brain or the very top of your backpack. Gonna load more snacks into my hip belt. Finally, I put any large items like trekking poles, my tripod in another side pocket to balance out the weight of the water. All right, so I hope that was helpful so you can see where I put things in my backpack. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, and enjoy your backpacking trips.